Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV and our latest Monday review as I look back on Saturday's potentially pivotal 2-1 victory at the Wham Stadium as we saw off John Coleman's Accrington. Not any old John Coleman's Accrington. This was an Accrington Stanley side that got unbeaten in 9 at home and had won 4 of their last 6, taking 14 points from the last 18 available. Team news came in at 2 o'clock. There were no shocks from Neil Harris in terms of his 11. It was exactly the same team that had started last Saturday's 0-0 draw at home to the Giants of Sheffield Wednesday. So that team in full was Aaron Chapman in goal. 3 centre-halves were Connor Masterson, Max Emer and Jack Tucker. Wing-backs were Ryan Jackson and David Totonda. In centre midfield, it was Stuart O'Keefe, the captain, with Ollie Lee. And it was Ben Thompson in the 10, supporting a front pairing of Verdane Oliver and Charlie Kelman once again. In terms of the bench, there were more options. We managed to fill it this week. We only had 6 last Saturday. There were 7 this time. And it was good to see Daniel Phillips available after suspension and Ben Reeves back fit again to take his place amongst the 18. But in terms of the first half, it wasn't much of a spectacle. We didn't see it first 5-6 minutes. It was all Accrington. They weren't really getting in behind. Don't get me wrong, they weren't creating anything clear cut. Best chance probably fell to the lad Adedoyin, who shot straight at Aaron Chapman. And then we settled into the game. We got into our pattern, managed to get a bit more of the ball. Verdane Oliver scuffed one wide after the ball had dropped to him in the Accrington box, but it was never really going to trouble the keeper, Isherwood. And then after that, there was another half chance. I think it was a Ryan Jackson throw that was flicked on by Verdane Oliver, and Isherwood, making his debut, the teenager, came out, flapped at it, got nowhere near it, but Accrington managed to smuggle it clear. The game, like I say, wasn't much of a spectacle. There wasn't any free-flowing football, if that's what you was coming to see. But it was 2 honest sides working really hard for their respective causes. It was attritional, low quality. Next half chance came to the home side. Clark, their midfielder, got himself into a dangerous area, right-hand side of the box, but dragged his effort harmlessly wide. And as we approached the whistle for the interval, Connor Masterson doing what he does so well, breaking through midfield, breaking through the lines and giving us an extra man in the middle of the park. He done really well to feed Ben Thompson, who in turn tried to get Charlie Kelman in, but unfortunately the young QPR loanee had just strayed offside. The only other real thing of note before that whistle did go to signal the end of the first 45 minutes was a Sean McConville drive from 35 yards that went harmlessly wide of Aaron Chapman's far post. And a Verdane Oliver flick that led to Stuart O'Keefe threatening to break into the box, but his shot was blocked before he'd even got it off. So that was it. First half, 0-0. Solid performance from Neil Harris's men. Solid performance really from John Coleman's men. It's going to be up to us to go and take the game by the scruff of the next second period, see if we could pick up another vital 3 points. Not that a draw would have been a disaster. Second period followed a similar pattern to that of the first period, to be fair. It was Accrington who come out the blocks a little bit quicker, but this time their pressure was a little bit more sustained. Their chances were a little bit more clear-cut, and we had to rely on Aaron Chapman on more than one occasion. Colby Bishop, overhead kick from about 15 yards. Big Aaron Chapman got a hand up and flicked it over the bar. Comfortable save, but had to do his job. Shortly after that, it's a chance for Gills, wasn't it, I think? Charlie Kelman got the ball on the halfway line, the left-hand side, and drove at his man, managed to cut into a shooting position on his right foot, but it was straight down the throat of Isherwood. But it was good intent from Charlie Kelman. It was good to see him showing that confidence that his goal against Doncaster a couple of Saturdays ago has given him. But then it was back to type, and it was Accrington causing a problem. Big chance for Adedoyin. Ball broke in the middle of the park and he was suddenly one-on-one. Aaron Chapman comes out to the edge of his box. Adedoyin maybe gets caught in 2 minds, I'm not sure, but Aaron Chapman can only do what he can do. Sticks out a big paw, keeps it out and manages to keep the score at 0-0. We're thinking, is that a potentially pivotal moment in the game? Aaron Chapman decided to have another one. Shortly after, there's a corner played in out swinging, right-footed. I think it's Harry Pell, rises above our defenders. 6 yards out, the ball's destined for the top corner. Absolute postage stamp. Aaron Chapman appears from nowhere, doesn't he? Big right hand again to claw it out the top corner. Somehow keep that 0-0 scoreline intact and keep us in the game, because it could have invariably been 1 or 2-0 to Accrington at that stage. And we were under the cosh, but we were sticking in there. This is a different Gillingham now, isn't it, under Neil Harris? We were still making saves, making blocks, willing to put our bodies on the line. But we knew that we'd had to improve. But yeah, we had 15 minutes where we were just penned in and really struggled to get the ball up to Verdane Oliver and Charlie Kelman and Ben Thompson in dangerous areas. We then had to make a change just around the hour mark, didn't we? Unfortunately, Stuart O'Keefe, who took a whack from Michael Nottingham in the first half. Couldn't continue, looked like it was still causing him a problem. He sat down in the middle of the pitch and had to be replaced by the returning Daniel Phillips, the young Watford Lone Star. So it was a straight swap. And shortly after, we took the lead. Ryan Jackson, with one of them secret weapons that no one knows anything about, that long throw, caused havoc in the box. Then it dropped for Dane Oliver. It's a penalty for me if he goes over, because the centre-half's all over him, grabbing at his shirt with both hands. But V stays up, he's honest, he stays honest, gets his shot away, bounces into the turf. Can't see from the angle I've watched on the telly on the full match replay whether it's going to go in the far corner, but the keeper Isherworth gets a hand on it. But it's good awareness again from Charlie Kelman, like we said 2 weeks ago when he scored what ultimately proved to be the winner against Doncaster Rovers. If you just watch the replay back, he just holds off of his man. He doesn't engage in the 6-yard box. He just drops off a couple of yards. And then when the ball does come up into the air off the keeper's hand, he's able to get a run on the centre-back and he heads it into an empty net. And it was great to see Charlie and the rest of the Gills players celebrating in front of the 250-odd Gillingham fans that had travelled up north. It gave us something to hold on to, didn't it? Cambridge were beating Wimbledon. Doncaster were losing, I think, or drawing at that stage. No game for Fleetwood, no game for Morecambe, no game for Crewe because of international call-ups. But again, it was another step in the right direction. It was more points on the board. It was picking off another team or two, wasn't it? And if we could pinch that second one, it would have given us real daylight and real breathing space in the game. It's another drive from Ethan Hamilton. Does really well to get it onto his left foot. He had more of an influence second period, I thought, Hamilton. Probably wasn't their best player on the day, but we'll get to that. But he does well to shift it onto his left foot. It's a good effort. Looks like it's going in the bottom corner and it goes through a couple of bodies, but it's a save that you'd expect Aaron Chapman, especially in his current form, to make, and he does it well again, gets a big right hand once more. That right hand was being tested a few times, and it was coming up trumps, and it was standing up to everything that was thrown at. And another smart save from Chappie. 2-0 shortly after. And we're thinking game, set and match. And Dane Oliver deserved his goal, was very good on the afternoon. There's real signs now that him and Charlie Kelman are developing a real understanding and a proper partnership. And fingers crossed that we can see that through to the end of the season. They can keep doing that and pinching goals and pinching points for us. It's Ryan Jackson again. He's indirectly involved in both goals without actually picking up an assist. His long throw bounces around, gets cleared. Dan Phillips, I think, is doing no more than an upper under back into the mixer. But for Dane Oliver switched on. Accrington back three, all step out. Keeper has to come and challenge. Wasn't even a contest, was it? Big for Dane Oliver against the teenage keeper making his debut. He gets there first, but he wants it. Heads it into an empty net with a keeper absolutely nowhere. There's a little bit of shenanigans on the touchline afterwards between the two benches, but there's no foul. Absolutely no foul, not in a million years. And I know John Coleman's come out after the game and made a few comments about penalties. And yes, he probably could have had one, but we'll get to that in a little while. But it's certainly not a foul by Dane Oliver on the keeper. And we thoroughly deserved the goal in terms of it's legit, it's legal. There's no indiscretion from the big front man. And at 2-0 with 15 minutes to play, you think we're going to see it out because we don't concede a lot of goals under Neil Harris. We don't score loads, we know that. So to get 2 is very, very good. But they was always going to come back into it. They was always going to have a go, weren't they? They was going to throw the kitchen sink at us. We had to make another change. We bought off Charlie Kelman, bought on Ben Reeves to just solidify that midfield. So it was for Dane Oliver up front on his own, and then effectively 2 10s who could almost drop in and become a 6 in the middle of the park. And we give away a soft penalty, don't we? Ryan Jackson dangles a foot. There's not a lot of contact, but if there is contact, the referee has to point to the spot, which he does. But I think we can do better before then. The bloke just runs in a straight line from the halfway line in the inside left channel. Ollie Lee sort of threatens to go out there and pretend to make a tackle, doesn't engage. He runs into the box, and then Ryan Jackson's on the wrong side and has to go with the wrong foot. It's probably one of them that you'd say if it was for us, we'd be screaming penalty. So no real complaints, and Colby Bishop smartly tucked it away. After that, we come under a bit of pressure, didn't we? There was 7 minutes injury time, which wasn't ideal for the ticker. And there's a huge shout with about a minute to go. Ball gets lumped into our box. Jack Tucker comes to win it. It's climbing all over the Accrington player for me. If that's on the halfway line, it's a foul. So it comes back to the old question, why is it different in the penalty area? But I'm not going to complain because we've had a lot of rough decisions this season and we've had to put up with a lot of rubbish. Some of it through our own doing, don't get me wrong. But you earn your luck in this game, and I think we probably just about earned our own luck. It wasn't given. A few seconds later, the final whistle went. Jubilation in the away end, which was great to see, 250 plus, like I've already mentioned. And the players celebrated as well. And it was a massive 3 points. Wimbledon had lost. Fleetwood didn't play, so we go above them. So we're at the dizzy heights of 19th with 4 points clear of the drop zone. Now Wimbledon, even with their game in hand, cannot catch us. They've only got one game in hand with a 4-point gap to bridge. Fleetwood 2 games in hand, so they can still jump above us, but we host them Easter Monday, and that'll be a massive, massive game. But yeah, we can only keep taking it one game at a time, like Neil Harris has said, and he's come out and he's been very honest. He said it wasn't the best performance, but what we're doing is we're finding a way to win football matches. We're finding a way to dig in and keep ourselves in football matches. And then when our chances came along, we were super clinical with them through Charlie Kelman and then Verdane Oliver, which is great to see. So all in all, a really, really dogged win, really, really dogged 3 points, and it could be absolutely huge come 6 games' time. In terms of best Accrington Stanley player on the afternoon, it was tricky. They had a couple that were decent, that were threatening to influence the game. First half, like we say, defences were on top. But when the game opened up a little bit second period, I had to go for Sean McConville. Played from the left-hand side, put in a really, really good performance. Always wanted the ball, always showed for it, never shirked a challenge, never shirked wanting possession, even if something didn't quite come off. And he was always trying to make things happen. He played the full 90 minutes. Pass completion rate of 69%, so approaching 70%. 3 key passes in that time. 50% crossing accuracy as well, which was decent. I think it was 2 from 4 into our box. 3 shots. One we said about first period that drifted wide, that 35-yard effort that I think Aaron Chapman might have had covered. But he was constantly getting into good areas from an Accrington perspective and trying to create things, and it was a player that we had to keep an eye on. In terms of his defensive side as well, 2 clearances, a block, an interception and 2 tackles as well, so didn't shirk that side of the game. So for me, Accrington Stanley's man of the match was Sean McConville. In terms of the Gills player ratings, I got told I can't give Aaron Chapman less than 10, which is a perfect performance. So to maybe be controversial, I've not given Aaron Chapman a 10, and I will explain myself. I've given him 8.5. He's superb in what he does, and he's been very good since he's come into the side. We know he missed a lot of football first half of the season because he was having to play second fiddle to Jamie Cumming. But he's been spot on ever since, and he's playing a huge part in this revival under Neil Harris and our mini surge up to the dizzy heights of 19th, like I've already mentioned. So for me, 8.5 for Aaron Chapman. He's made 7 saves in the game, I think it is, but the 2 big ones are the one-on-one and then the one from the header. But the others, I'd expect Chappie in his current form to be making. There was a couple of dodgy kicks. I think when there was one that hit his own player in the first half. And there was one punch that went more up than out second period, which wasn't great for the blood pressure when we're defending a 2-goal lead. But all in all, he was very solid. So it's an 8.5 for Aaron Chapman. In terms of the back 3, all really good again. Edited everything that came into our box. I've gone Connor Masterson 7.5, Max Emer 7.5, Jack Tucker 7. In terms of the wing backs, Ryan Jackson 7. Gives the penalty away, which then puts us under the cosh last few minutes, which is a little bit unneeded, but I think he could be helped out more then. He's indirectly involved in both goals. It's his throw-ins that cause the problems. So a solid 7 for Ryan Jackson, and we're seeing consistently better performances from him now. The other side, David Tatondra, I thought was very good. One of his best games in a Gills shirt. Gave him 7.5. In the middle of the park, Stuart O'Keefe 7 for the hour that he played. He was here, there and everywhere again. Captain's performance. Probably would have got higher if he'd lasted the full 90. Ollie Lee, not quite at it again for me, 6.5. Cut the corners under it, hit the front man or over hit. Could do better for the goal. I think, like I say, if he just steps across the bloke, he then has to stop and come inside, and we cut it off. But he decides to let the bloke run into the penalty area, and then we cause ourselves a problem. So 6.5 for Ollie Lee for me. Ben Thompson 7, bundles of energy again, kept trying to make things happen whenever he could. Front 2, really, really good. I've gone Charlie Kelman 8, smart header to get us on our way, isn't he? Like I say, he's very aware, peels off the centre-back just to give him a little bit of space and a little bit of a run for anything that comes off the goalkeeper. And for Dane Oliver, absolutely superb again. Somewhere near his best. We've not seen enough of Big V at his best this season, but we're starting to see more of it now. And I know Neil Harris keeps saying that he'll score goals in his team, and he got a goal, didn't he? Has he got an assist as well? You know, it's his shot that comes off the keeper for the first goal. So I've gone V, 8.5. In terms of the substitutes, Daniel Phillips, solid half hour, 7. Ben Reeves, not applicable, only played a couple of minutes. But all in all, a really solid afternoon. Not spectacular, not at our best with the ball. But what we're doing, like I've already said, is we're finding ways to win football matches. In terms of the Gills man of the match, I'm going to do something that I never did up until about 3 weeks ago. And I'm going to do it for the second time now. And I'm going to give it as a joint award. I'm going to go for Gills men of the match, Aaron Chapman and Verdane Oliver. If we break down them stats quickly for both players again, Aaron Chapman, 90 minutes played, 7 saves, 3 of which were in the box. The 2 big ones, aren't they? Like I've already said. The one when he comes out and gets a big right hand on the one-on-one. And then it's an unbelievable stop to keep out the Harry Pell header that's destined for the top corner. So they're the pivotal moments in terms of what Aaron Chapman does. 3 punches, 2 high claims. decent enough distribution apart from the one that I think hit Stuart O'Keefe on the back of the head, if I remember correctly. So another really solid 90 minutes for Aaron Chapman. And again, the same for Dane Oliver, 8.5 as well. Played 90 minutes, goal, potentially an assist, at least a direct one. He's had 4 shots, 2 of which are on target, 2 off target. He's played 1 key pass, won 70% of his aerial duels up against 3 centre-backs that are all big lumps as well. We know that they're not, shirking, shrinking violets, are they? These Accrington boys that play at the back. Competes with anyone. And he did his defensive side of the game as well, didn't he? Back in his own box, making 2 clearances from set piece. So for me, it had to be a Gills men of the match this week, and that was Aaron Chapman and Dane Oliver. All in all, another positive Saturday. If you can win games when you're not playing at your best, like Neil Harris indicated, it's a very good sign. We're not going to make the playoffs, we know that this season, but what we're doing is giving ourselves a real chance of avoiding the drop, something that we never thought even possible back on January the 31st. I can't keep repeating that enough. I tweeted on Saturday, 14-point swing in 12 games since Neil Harris has been involved. We were 10 points from safety when we hosted Crewe that first Tuesday after he'd been appointed. We now sit here, middle of March, end of March, 4 points clear of the dreaded drop zone. Yes, teams below us have got games in hand. Yes, there'll be more roller coaster moments. I'm sure highs and lows. Neil Harris himself has said we might drop back in and have to come back out again. We're the only team down there with momentum though, aren't we? It's a miracle. It's mad. We're only 5 points off Lincoln on 42 points in 18th or 17th. All the teams below us can't buy a win, keep shipping goals. Defensively, we're tight. We're starting to create chances. We're starting to see fruits of our labour in terms of a strike partnership. And if we can get the likes of Ben Reeves and Dan Phillips and Mustafa Carriel available for the final 6, I think we'll be okay. But for now, let's enjoy this one and make the most of another good away win. To all of you that travelled, I hope you had a brilliant day. I keep deciding to go to games away from home at the moment, and then for one reason or another I have to cancel plans, and we keep winning, so maybe I should stay away from that Kings Ferry coach for the rest of the season. Enjoy your week. I'll be back later on Thursday to preview the Sunderland game and up the Gills.